Thanks for always finishing your lunch. Huh? I haven't been eating it. What? I've been throwing it away. I couldn't believe my ears. I get up early every morning to prepare his lunch, and it turns out he's been throwing it away. Why would you do that? It's my lunch. I can do what I want, right? I was heartbroken seeing my husband laugh as he said that. I lost faith in him as a person, and I decided to get back at him. I'll show him that I'm not always a submissive wife. Please marry me. Yes. 1 year after we started dating, I married my husband. We met at work. He was at the head office, and I was in the sales department. While we were dating, he always put me first, taking me to my favorite places and letting me eat my favorite foods. Every day, I felt happy thinking about the wonderful life that awaited us. But after we got married, his attitude changed drastically. He began to nitpick everything I did and made all the decisions himself. He became a controlling husband, and things gradually got worse. Recently, something truly unforgivable happened. Huh? What did you just say? I told you to start making lunch every day from tomorrow. Why? It's normal for a wife to make her husband's lunch, right? 3 years into our marriage, my husband suddenly insisted on this. I work too, and I'm busy in the mornings. Honestly, I don't want to take on more than I have to. We used to eat lunch separately, so why the sudden change? I was puzzled. I don't want meal preps. I want freshly made ones every morning. From that day on, I started getting up at 5 a.m. to make his lunch. Cooking was never my strong suit, and even simple tasks like making scrambled eggs took considerable time. Preparing all the side dishes for lunch in the morning was quite a challenge. This new routine left me with less sleep, and it was extremely tough. One night, seeing the empty lunchbox in the sink, I felt relieved, thinking, oh, he ate it all. From then on, I continued making his lunch every day, though he never expressed any feedback. Out of curiosity, I asked him one day, by the way, is there anything specific you want in your lunch? No, not really. I see. I thought you liked it since you always finish it. Ha! I haven't been eating it. What? I've been throwing it away. I couldn't believe my ears. I was baffled as to why he would throw away the lunch I got up early every morning to make. Why would you do that? Well, your cooking is bland. It doesn't make me want to eat. But I get up early and put a lot of effort into making it. Then make something that makes me want to eat. But you don't have to throw it away. You made it for me. I can do whatever I want with it. I was stunned. Why would he have me make lunch in the first place? When I asked him, he nonchalantly responded, because it's fun. He made me make lunch just so he could throw it away. I never thought he would do such a thing. I was so heartbroken that I cried myself to sleep that night and didn't make his lunch the next day. My husband got furious. I saw no point in preparing his lunch knowing he wouldn't eat it. But if I snapped back, I knew he would throw a temper. So I decided to fix his lunch again starting the next day, even though it was going to be thrown away anyway. Feeling more and more hollow each day as I made his lunch, I gradually began to prepare fewer items. You've been slacking off recently, haven't you? Do you think I wouldn't notice? I'm sorry, but if you're not going to eat it, it's the variety of food that makes me feel refreshed when I throw it away. Don't you get it? I don't understand at all. Due to my lack of sleep every day, I was so exhausted that I started making mistakes at work. That's when I heard a troubling rumor. Apparently, my husband had been bad-mouthing me. When I asked a colleague who had been on a business trip to our headquarters for details, he said my husband was calling me a useless wife and saying things like, she can't do anything without me. She has no will of her own. It was bad enough to know he was saying these things behind my back, but hearing it confirmed, I couldn't just sit back and take it. Over the weekend, I decided to confirm the truth and asked a close friend who works at the headquarters. Mickey, I've heard it too. Really? Yeah, your husband is pretty harsh on women. I don't know if it's because he's good at his job, but he seems to think women should only be assigned to make photocopies or something. No way, he wasn't like that before we got married. Did you do something? It's the other way around. I'm the one being treated poorly. How's he treating you? I explained to Mickey about him throwing away my lunch. As she listened, she became visibly angry, wrapping me in a tight hug as tears welled in her eyes. You've been so patient. I can't imagine how tough it must have been. Why are you crying, Mickey? I'm crying for you, you fool. But this is unacceptable. He needs to learn his lesson. That's true. He's really wronged you. Have you thought about getting a divorce? I'm worried about finances right now. You can handle that. I'm more worried about you. You're numb to the pain even after being mistreated like that. That's a sign you're not okay. It's not like I'm numb. I'm pissed. Then Mickey gave me a serious look. Do you want to get a divorce? In truth, the idea of divorce had been lingering in my mind. Thankfully, we didn't have any children. I found myself contemplating whether I should continue enduring life with my abusive husband indefinitely. To weigh my options, I wanted to take advantage of this opportunity. I gazed directly into Mickey's eyes and said, "There's something I want to try. Will you help me?" "Of course." "Thank you. I want to use your position." You see, Mickey is actually the granddaughter of our chairman. Moreover, she's currently working as an executive assistant at the headquarters. I can't overlook the opportunity to enlist such a powerful ally. That's quite an idea. I see where you're going with this. I'm starting to look forward to it. If this goes well, I can make my husband feel ashamed of himself. The following Monday, as usual, I handed my husband his lunch. "Do you have time tonight?" "What's this about all of a sudden?" "You know Mickey, my friend who works as an executive assistant." "Yeah, what about her?" "Mickey says she'd really like to invite us to dinner. Apparently, the chairman will also be there." "The chairman. He wants to show appreciation for his hard-working employees. If it's a request from the chairman, I can't refuse." "All right." I thought he would be suspicious, but surprisingly, he agreed quite easily. Perhaps he was pleased with the thought of being invited by the chairman. With that, everything fell into place. After work, I met up with my husband and confirmed once again that he had thrown away his lunch. Then we went to the restaurant specified by Mickey for dinner with the chairman. My husband seemed pleased with the fancy place and began to boast about his competence. Today, I finished my work early and helped my colleagues. You know, being reliable is hard work when you're this good at your job. Is that so? The chairman's granddaughter is beautiful and she's an executive assistant, so I bet she's good at her job too. I'm just doing my job like everyone else. You don't need to be so humble. You're far different from my wife. He got on my nerves a bit, but the chairman moved on to the main topic. You get a packed lunch from your wife every day, don't you? Yes, she does work hard on that. What a wonderful thing, a lovingly prepared lunch from your wife. But it's the same thing every day. I'd like something extravagant once in a while. That's not something you should expect from your wife. Really, don't you, as a chairman, get extravagant lunches? I prefer something simple. It's an everyday thing, after all. Oh, you're just joking. You've even arranged for us to eat in such a wonderful place today. My husband's attitude was completely different from usual. He must have been trying to put on a good show in front of the chairman. I watched nervously, unsure of how it would unfold. "So, you don't cook?" the chairman asked. "Cook? No, that's women's work. I don't think that's the case nowadays. I think it's normal for men to work outside the home and for women to take care of the home. We both work, but ideally I'd like my wife to stay at home." "Really? Men are breadwinners and women are homemakers. That's how it's supposed to be." "That's a rather old-fashioned way of thinking." "Really? I think all men in the world would think the same way. Despite the increase in women's participation in society, they end up taking maternity leave or quitting their job. In the end, it's men who run society, and it's the same in our company as well. Don't you agree, Mr. Chairman?" That was the first time I heard such a thing, but he should know that we can't live on his income alone. He was spouting derogatory comments about women, but the chairman avoided addressing them and continued the conversation. "What do you think of men who cook?" he asked. "They're feminine. I've heard it's becoming more common, but I don't understand it. What if I told you that I enjoy cooking? Would you think I'm feminine?" "Ha! And what if I told you that I, not your wife, made today's lunch? What would you do?" "You're kidding, right?" You could feel the chairman's anger seeping through his words, and it's understandable because his handmade lunch was thrown away. "Hey, what's this about?" "What do you mean?" "What you said yourself. You didn't eat your lunch today, right?" The plan that Mickey and I hatched involved getting some help from the chairman, who had recently taken up cooking as a hobby. Yesterday, the chairman had kindly given us some of his homemade dishes, which I repackaged and handed over to my husband this morning. You set me up. It was far different from what I usually cook. Anyone could tell at a glance. My husband, who must have thrown it away without checking, was momentarily at a loss for words. Watching this, Mickey spoke up. "Aren't you more concerned about the terrible things you're doing?" "What terrible things?" "It's strange to throw away food every day without even eating it." That's right, it's the worst to just throw away something someone else has made for you without any appreciation. Well, if I had known it was made by you, sir, I wouldn't have thrown it away. My husband was trying to hastily backtrack, looking pale at the chairman's words. So you wouldn't throw away the lunch I make, but it's okay for you to throw away the ones prepared by your wife? Well, she's no good of a wife. Can a husband do whatever he wants? That was my last straw. You are really the worst. What are you on about all of a sudden? Don't you realize how much your actions are hurting me? Huh? Why are you getting so worked up? I can't stand it anymore. I want a divorce. My husband stood looking perplexed. He glanced around the room, realizing he had no one to back him up, and began to panic. What are you talking about? How can you just say something like that out of the blue? It's not out of the blue. I've been thinking about it for a long time. Where did the kind man I married go? I was in love with you then. I don't love who you are now. As I conveyed my feelings, tears began to spill. I took out the divorce papers that I had put in my bag and placed them on the table. All you need to do is sign. I filled in the rest. You're serious. If this looks like a joke to you, you're more helpless than I thought. Do you think you can survive after a divorce? I'll be fine. I'll be getting alimony from you after all. What? Watching this scene, the chairman began to speak. You seem to have some prejudices against women. That's not what I mean. I've heard from my granddaughter about your attitude towards our female employees. Coupled with this incident, this isn't something I can overlook as a chairman. What are you talking about? I'll let my son, the president, know about this. Wait, sir, I can't lose my job now. Before worrying about your job, there are other things you should do first. Taken aback by the chairman's angry voice, my husband was at a loss for words. Not once have you apologized. When you do something wrong, you apologize. Even a kid in elementary school knows that. I'm very sorry. Not to me, to your wife. Can't you even understand that? You're making me sick. Mickey, let's go. Sure, Linda, let's go. Huh? What are you waiting for? You're not going back home, right? You're coming with us. Seeing the desperate look on my husband's face, Mickey and I left the restaurant, feeling quite relieved. The next day at work, I got a call from Mickey. Your ex-husband got demoted. Demoted? When HR investigated his work behavior, there were complaints from female employees, one after another. Is that so? And apparently his performance in sales has plummeted. He deserves it. It seems that he was transferred to a sales branch in the countryside, where the women were quite formidable. At first, he seemed to resist and continued his tyrannical behavior, but the place was filled with tough women, like old-school matriarchs. Within a week, he was unable to talk back. Now he is so respectful of the women in the office that he even voluntarily makes copies. 2 weeks later, Mickey contacted me again. I was issued a notice of termination and was told that I would be transferred to work at the head office in a secretary position. What does this mean? I think this is the chairman's doing. It seems that the chairman took a liking to me after seeing my declaration the other day. So, he spoke with the president to allow me to work as a trainee secretary with Mickey. Oh, and there's a message from Grandpa. What? He said we're going to have a dinner party once a month, where you'll eat his homemade food. This is an order coming from him as a chairman. What? The chairman's gonna cook for me? He apparently wants to treat you. He even mentioned taking cooking classes. Later, the divorce was finalized successfully. I was able to receive my desired amount of alimony, which was $20,000. I lost a husband but gained a new friend. I'm happy. From now on, I plan to have my chairman teach me how to cook delicious meals for myself.